Hello, it's Peter Bell, and I'm here with Adrian Day. Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Peter. Thanks for doing this with me. This is
What exactly we're doing, we'll see.
yes. So we're at the New Orleans conference, which is one of my favorite conferences of the year.
My first time here,
Yeah.
but I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it's a 5-day conference, so it is long, but they always have investment speakers as well as some political speakers.
Yep.
So there's always some controversy here.
Robert Kiyosaki was here last
He
night.
was excellent. He was excellent. Gave a very interesting talk. So you always get something different. So let's look at.
Yeah, we were at the America, a Cisco, Oceanus back there.
Cisco, of course, is a sponsored company, shall we say, of the Cisco Gold Royalties. Cisco Gold Royalties has this great program. They call it the Accelerator Program.
Yeah.
So they sponsor juniors, they sponsor exploration companies. They put money in return for future royalties.
Yeah.
Obviously, a little more risky program approach than say the Franco-Nevada approach, but I think with much more long-term upside.
Yeah.
And obviously, Cisco Mining has done very well so far, and now the new one is the Cisco Metals, which is nickel in New Brunswick.
For what it's worth, they followed me on Twitter, and I thought that was cool too, and they had some interactions with them. So one of the few companies actually using social media and stuff like this.
Well, they must be good people then.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Hello.
We could actually pop round the corner.
Let's
here.
do it. Where you direct me.
Well, let's go around the corner here. And here we have one of my favorite exploration companies. Oh, look, the whole team's here. The whole gang. We're being recorded, by the way. So don't say anything.
Don't say anything wrong.
Coming close, the audio's not that
So
good.
this is Gino Roger, who's the CEO.
Hello.
Hi, it's a pleasure.
Gino, give us a minute
Yeah.
on Midland.
So Midland Exploration is using the prospect generator joint venture model.
Yep.
We're focusing in Quebec. Quebec is the one of the top mining jurisdiction worldwide.
Let's talk these rocks. What are we
Yeah.
looking at?
Looking to new discoveries we made in northern Quebec. Looking for a high-grade gold sample, vein type, gabbros, diorite, strong alteration.
Beautiful.
Very good-looking rocks. So we found that this summer.
Sparkle, sparkle. That's gold in there? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that?
You can see the
pyrite, or is that-
associated with the pyrite. Barrick is now our neighbor. Okay, so
And does this one have a partner?
no?
Oh,
This
really?
is the one of,
All right, anyone listening?
We're
Exploration
keeping
juniors.
this one for ourselves.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, well, come
like-
on. No, you're a prospect generator.
Yeah,
if you're
but
going to be a
remember Virginia Gold Mine? And they kept Eleanor property
Yes.
for them, and they were sold for $500 million to Gold Corp. So
And how about these ones over here too?
yeah, they're. We found with Altius, our partner
Oh,
Altius.
really? You're partnered with Altius.
Yeah, and
What a great group.
Oh yeah, I'm learning from them. Smart guys, smart people. It's a great partnership.
And they've gotten really aggressive on the generation side.
Yep.
I saw that. That was really cool.
Yeah. So we signed a deal with Altius this year, and on our first program, we found a new zinc massive sulfide belt.
Wow.
Just south of Eleanor.
Yeah.
Right here. Never been explored.
The new Shire?
The new Shire.
Up to 7.5% zinc?
Yes.
All right. And is that off a hole or?
There's no drill hole, there's no
Oh, that's just
exploration.
on
It's
surface.
brand new on surface. We just
Exciting.
completed the airborne survey.
Yeah.
You'll see the results next week. We have a press release on that. We found some nickel.
Well, that's a sparkly rock. Can you hold that up again one more time? In the light too.
Look at the
Oh.
blackjack sphalerite, felsic rocks. It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Midland exploration.
So we got other good partners at Agnico Eagle, IM Gold, Cisco. So we were proud to work with these partners.
Good for you. And how long have you guys been around?
We've started in 2007 at 21 million shares, and after 10 years, we're still only have 57.
And have you
million
put
shares.
new stuff on this old? Is this an old box that you put new stuff on?
You mean?
I feel like this is a newer map or a new printout you've had to change. and add.
We added IAMGO.
And just to say, that's great because you got to be careful about spending, right? throwing one of these things away would seem to be a bit of a wasteful expenditure. Just of the little things. It's very good for you guys.
Oh no, the money should go in the field and.
Well, and you have some money too. 12 million cash. Is that?
12 million cash.
All right.
Tight flow structure.
Yeah.
We're bringing cash because we're operating some of the deals.
Yeah.
We're receiving admin fees. So that's
I heard
the beauty of the model.
I heard a wonderful story about Boise's Bay last night that the guy who had been responsible for bringing it to Mr. Friedland had negotiated himself a 15% premium. In addition to managing the costs and having discretion over the activities, he was given a 15% cut in addition to the total spend, and that persisted after the takeover. I don't know quite in terms of spending and contracts when you're doing this project generation stuff. You really have to be careful on the buyer side and on the seller side.
Always.
So having all that experience with you guys and being in Quebec, all this, you know what you're doing. And the terms too, right? The little things in the terms that you may not notice right away.
So this is the model. This is where we are. A lot of drilling, 25,000 meter drilling next year. So we're very happy. And we have great shareholder with Adrian.
So I think you can see why we like Midland. Gina's very not only knowledgeable and honest and ethical, but also very enthusiastic about what he's got. Yeah. And obviously I think it's important with exploration companies that you have people who are enthusiastic. But this is my top exploration holding and my top exploration recommendation, frankly. Very well financed, which is one of the things I look at.
And when was the last financing? Because with all these projects, you can generate cash
2015,
without selling shares.
2015, we did a big round of financing because the Quebec institutions were looking for another Virginia gold mine. They said
2015.
we need a company with
more
but
than
I
think the thing to emphasize is they didn't have to do the financing.
No,
even
they came to us.
Yes.
And it was a strategic. I mean, I think it was a good idea to get the dilution, to get the Quebec institutions in.
Yes, you do have to get your paper around somewhere.
But they didn't need to do the financing.
And are those brokerage houses really, or are those more institutional, like the Place?
The Caisse.
The Quebec Pension Fund is insider in a junior mining company for the first time in Quebec. They own 15% of the company.
Oh my God!
Can you imagine?
Congratulations! That's wonderful.
Good sign.
Well, there's hope for the future here in Quebec. Everything. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Thank you.
And then this is Mario. This is the sensible side of the company.
Geologist.
Hello.
Say hello to the internet, sir.
and Stephanie.
Hello.
Who goes to most of the shows.
Yeah.
Great.
So
possible to reach out to any of these people, and they're all this. The thing about juniors, right, is the access. When else can I run around with a GoPro and stick it in a bunch of executives' faces?
Excuse me, we're talking to.
My name is Peter Bell. I'll make this stuff available. It'll be on the cloud. The full files will be on the cloud. Probably not YouTube. And I'll share the links on ceo.ca/MD. So you guys, believe it or not, you have a channel just like the Bullboards and all that, and I'll share the link there, and it'll be fairly discreet and all that.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Different language. Well, let's move on and see what else we can find. I'm very selective in the things I buy, frankly, because I mean, there's a lot of good companies doing good work.
Yep.
But it's a very high-risk business, as we know.
And you need to be concentrated in your
And you
positions.
need to be concentrated, yes. These are our friends at Sprott.
Oh, Mr. Rowe, hello.
Rick talking to someone.
Yep.
Oh, hi.
I'm
in the middle of this. Sorry. I'll be back.
Conference floors are the most fun, aren't they? I
Mill
love
Rock.
the chaos.
Let's talk to Mill Rock, because I do like Mill Rock. Now it's your turn, Melanie.
Hi, Melody.
This is Melanie Henderson.
Are you comfortable being on camera?
I am.
Okay. Who's IR for Mill Rock? Mill Rock's you're going to talk in a second. Mill Rock's another prospect generator. I like the prospect generator model. I think everybody understands the prospect generator model, do they?
Yep.
Yeah, I like the model. Not because it gives you greater upside, but because it protects your downside and gives you, I always say, a chance to live another day when things go wrong.
Don't go broke business model.
Yeah. So tell us, Melanie, about.
We're in 3 jurisdictions. We're in the United States. We're in Alaska with Kinross, and we have another great project there with Polarex, which is an Australian company. We're also in Mexico.
It's Sonora, right?
With Sonora.
Yeah, I've heard good things
with
about this.
Centerra, we're about to start drilling next week on the La Navidad,
Exciting.
which is a very exciting. Centerra's quite excited about it. It's a very large landmass, and we're also in the Golden Triangle, which is a very hot spot right now. We've spun our projects out into Sojourn Resources, and we've got one more project to spin out there called the Todd. So it's all very exciting, and we are super busy. And feel free to give me a call.
Yay.
I've got lots of good things to tell you.
And tell us about your share price right now.
Our share price right now.
Is it on sale?
Well, no, and the reason I'm saying
Discount.
that is because this is an incredible buy right now in my mind.
So
Yeah.
what do we closed at 28 on
Yeah.
Friday, right? In Canadian, where I think it's about.
No, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. It's a very good price to
It's
buy.
a good
stock.
entry point
Screaming
based
buy.
on what we thought. It's a good entry point based on what's coming down the pipes for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the more active, and they've got a good pipeline.
And 10 years or so it's been in existence.
For 10 years,
Yeah. Some of the stories, I believe I just mentioned a story about Voisey's Bay at the Midland booth.
Yeah.
I picked up that story from the one and only Greg Basher. And the story is much deeper, runs much deeper than that. He was close to the guy who was prospecting that found Voisey's Bay, believe it or not. So really fascinating. I knew Greg was great, but I didn't know.
Well, and our VP of
Wow.
exploration, Phil, found the Pebble deposit.
Oh, God. Wonderful.
And he also added 12 million ounces to the 12 million ounces to Donald Creek. Right?
Donald
So,
Creek.
Wonderful.
So we have a
Serious
great
team.
VP of exploration
Yeah.
who wouldn't be here if he didn't really like what we do.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's found lots of stuff.
Yeah, keep
Ready
up
to
the
move?
good work. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is another one.
Bye-bye.
Do we still have time? I'll be
Yes,
back.
sir.
So let's just hop down here a second. Oh, maybe that's not allowed because
I'm good. I'm here. I'll turn the camera around on myself. Where are we
you
going
could
to?
always cut something if you want.
I'd rather not.
Oh.
Hot mic.
I was going to talk
Hot
to
mic.
I was going
Whatever
to
in the
talk
background
to
too.
Well, let's talk to the Sprott
We can take
people.
another. We can do another take and do that. If you want to say
Okay.
goodbye for now. Is there any other juniors?
No, I didn't want to say goodbye. Yeah,
All right,
I'm
let's
looking
let's
at
go
the
do.
juniors.
Let's run back and forth across some more
But I was
aisles.
going to talk to Sprott about the importance of having brokers who know what they're doing.
Oh God. Sean Kunkun.
Peter, how you doing?
Wonderful. Thanks, Sean.
Hi, Adrian.
Hi,
How you doing?
So this
Everybody's
is
like, "What are you
Wheaton,
doing, Peter?
obviously
Why are you doing
obviously
this?"
a large mining company, and they're not here. But I think Wheaton is everybody knows Wheaton, right?
The former
streaming-
Silver Wheaton turned
I
Wheaton
know.
Precious.
streaming company.
Shout out to Doug Casey with Speculator and Drug Lord.
I
Very
tell you,
cool couple books.
did you read this
I
one?
loved it.
Isn't it fabulous?
Absolutely.
I'll be honest with you, and I've told Doug this. Doug's a friend, so I've told Doug, so I'm not, I hope it doesn't come across the wrong way. I bought this book, frankly, as a favor to a friend. And I was on the airplane from Vancouver back to Baltimore, and my iPad battery ran out, and the plane didn't have a thing. So I said, what am I going to do, a plug? What am I going to do now for the next 6 hours? Oh, let's look at Doug's book. I tell you, I couldn't put it down. It is an incredibly exciting book.
That's the consensus. Doug Casey and John Hunt, Speculator. Charles Knight, what a character.
Yep.
And Drug Lord, I think, even better. Some of the stuff that he gets into in this one is just...
I haven't read that
Oh,
one.
it's way out there. It's into the mass mind. You think he's been talking to Jim Dines a little bit about this one.
Well, I'm gonna get that later.
I'm with you. Lead on, Adrian.
Have we done enough?
We're still rolling.
We're still running? Because I'm sure there's one or two more. Let's just...
Neat to see the Yukon booth. You see this sometimes at different conferences here.
Yes.
The Yukon government showing up and, various groups.
promoting the area, the province.
Needs to be done.
It needs to be done because, all these provinces at different times have had some kind of concern among investors.
Yep.
Let's talk to Scott.
Yep.
Scott, you're
Yes,
on
sir.
camera.
Oh, very nice.
But you're looking dapper as usual.
We are recording. I hope
thank you.
that's okay.
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
So if it's not okay, stop now.
Yes.
So Eurasian is a smaller royalty company. They generate a lot of projects. They generate their own royalties. As opposed normally, you have bought one, right? But typically, two. But typically you go out and generate your own prospects. So tell us about Eurasian, or EMX, sorry.
So EMX Royalty Corp was formerly known as Eurasian Minerals, and we've always been a royalty company, but people didn't really realize that. We started out as a prospect generator, but we always held royalties back on any property that we sold off or joint ventured out to partners. So we've always been organically building a royalty portfolio.
And you've built a pretty big one now. Good
Indeed
Lord.
we have. Indeed we have. We currently have about 90 properties and projects in the portfolio, and we have those properties in, I believe, a dozen countries around the globe right now. We're very active in the Western United States, Turkey, and Scandinavia would be our primary areas of interest.
Yeah, I heard that the other day from David Cole, the CEO.
That's right.
And I wasn't aware that Scandinavia was such a big area. And
That's
that was
right.
Sweden, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Also?
really, it's Sweden. And there's something called the Fraser Institute Survey of Mining, which takes place every year. And what they do is they survey mining companies and exploration companies and royalty companies and ask them what are the best jurisdictions in terms of policy and tax regimes and stability and things like this. And Sweden always ends up in the top 3 or 4. And that's one of the reasons we're there, besides their obvious mineral potential.
And you're a geologist, too, Scott.
I am a geologist.
I spent
that's
some
right.
time talking to you at these conferences. You're always a great character. I enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
And some of the stories from the field I've picked up from you this week. Wow. You are not just a office geo. You're a real field guy.
Yep.
Wow.
Do you want to touch on Malmish or not?
Sure, we can talk about Malmish. So we're involved in a project in far eastern Russia. It's one of the largest ongoing copper gold discoveries in the world. Now, we don't actually have any equity in the project. The project is actually owned 49% by Freeport-McMoRan and 51% by IG Copper, which is a privately held company that's domiciled in the United States and largely owned and operated by an American guy named Tom Bowens. We are the largest shareholders in IG Copper. We have about 35% of their shares.
Wow. I didn't. Okay,
So,
thanks.
so this is a very large and very significant opportunity for us.
I didn't realize that there was somebody else in the driver's seat on the American private company there.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep. We're the largest shareholders by far,
Yeah.
and with our friends and allies, we swing more than 50% of the shares.
Wow, wonderful.
Yep.
But your equity in Malmish is about...
We don't have any equity in Malmish, so
You're
we're
indirect.
not responsible. We are not responsible
Right.
for any of the drilling costs or development
Okay,
costs or anything
gotcha.
like that. We're just simply a shareholder in the controlling interest.
Which is an important factor with the whole prospect generator royalty model, whichever model you use. One of the whole points is they're not responsible for costs. You want to try to avoid being responsible for mining costs as much as you can. Minimize your costs, but retain an interest in the projects.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a key thing.
And these guys, yeah, I think you guys have been proved pretty good at that. All getting into the financials and everything on these guys. Cash.
And again, right now,
I love
at the market where it is, I would say, Peter, to your readers, this is a screaming buy.
Yep.
70 cents on the US,
Yep.
on the New York.
And it's been soft too. There's been a lot of soft pricing in the juniors.
The last few weeks has been very, very soft. Very soft is a nice word.
Yeah, understand.
But Eurasian at 70 is just a very, very good buy, in my view.
And to give your viewers some idea how big our portfolio really is, this is our asset handbook, which is a comprehensive catalog of all of our properties, projects, royalty interest and strategic investments around the world.
I love this document.
It's quite impressive, actually. There are majors who don't have a portfolio of properties and projects as big as ours.
And the knock would be, God, what a burn you guys must have. But
no, I actually our
the
burn
premise,
net of
though.
all of our income from production royalties, advance royalties, management fees on properties that we manage for our partners, annual payments, milestone payments, and so on, is about. We're negative cash flow at this point by about $1.5 to $2 million.
Yeah.
We expect to be positive cash flow within the next year or so.
And that negative $1 million, as I understand it, that's somewhat discretionary at this point because you spend some money on some exploration activities. For
Right, we do
of
some
the things
basic
that you have?
exploration, but we do little, if any, drilling because
Yeah.
that's where things get very expensive.
But just to say that that's not some of those costs there are somewhat flexible or discretionary to you. Mm-hmm. So that's important because when you get with juniors with commitments to spend and all this potential to lose, your option agreement if you're not making your payments, that's where things get really, really nasty. So.
Mm-hmm.
And you have two mines that are producing royalties for you now.
That's right. We have the Leeville royalty on the Carlin Trend in Nevada, and most of the cash flow emanating from that comes out of the Leeville and Turf mines. And then we also have the Balya lead zinc silver mine in Turkey that is cash flowing. And that's actually, we're quite proud of that. That's our first organically derived royalty that's begun cash flowing.
That's huge. And that's lead zinc, right?
Lead zinc and silver. Yeah, there's a substantial silver credit.
Someone
there.
was asking me about, which commodities do I like for exploration, and I said, well, sorry, not really where I start. There's other things to start with. But for you guys, where there's actual cash flow, you have a delta to the spot in zinc and lead and all these things. So
that's
for
right.
People who are bullish on those,
our
metals
focus
prices,
is really
look
on
here,
gold
right?
and copper, but we're really commodity agnostic.
Yeah.
And if there's a metallic opportunity out there, we're willing to engage that regardless of what that particular metallic commodity is.
Sorry, just to turn around. And one of my favorite stories that I've heard here as well was something about, I didn't know that they were so tied up with reservoir and the Chukura Peki discovery. Apparently they had land next door, goes back to the early days, the start of reservoir, and picking up a royalty on the land next door with CP. And what was it, $200,000 US or something like that?
$200,000 on the big
Was that a 2% or a
That's a 0.5%.
percent? Yeah, so somebody else had it and they were like, well, that's nothing. So they scooped in a real good deal there.
That's right. And that'd probably be a company maker for us. So, a 0.5% royalty on a huge copper gold discovery, something that'll probably be mined for decades, is going to be a very material amount of money. So, and like Peter said, Dave Cole, the founder and CEO of the company, was able to ferret out that royalty opportunity and purchase that for $200,000 Canadian. That could that could pay us in excess of $200 million US life of mine, and that's not just some marketing nonsense. We think that's a viable number.
Yeah,
honestly.
And then
When does Nefson now plan to start?
They say 2019 or 2020.
So not so long away.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks very much, Scott.
Okay,
You're
thank
welcome.
you, Scott.
Thank you.
And let's there's a couple here that we know. Vista's a company. There's no one at the booth, but I like Vista. They have a very attractive project in Australia. It's called the Mount Todd project, which a lot of people who've been around the industry for a long time remember the Mount Todd had. Well, basically, it was responsible for bankrupting Pegasus, because of a bad metallurgy.
Yeah.
People remember that, and so this is a very undervalued. People are ignoring it, undervaluing it, but Vista's done a lot of metallurgical work. You can see how they've optimized the process flow sheet, and they really think that they have, and several tests they've done. It seems as though they have solved a metallurgical problem. It's got $20 million in cash, no debt, and a new PEA in January.
Oh, exciting.
So, again, 72 cents or something.
Yeah.
I think.
Pit.
I think
that should be resolvable, like any metallurgical challenges there.
And in Australia.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Great.
I think that's one we own. I guess I should disclose some of these we own 5% of. Now I've forgotten what companies we talked to.
Just Eurasian and Midland.
But, well, we own about 3.5% of Eurasia, so we're not a filer there. Vista we own over 5%.
Yep.
Midland we own actually over 10%.
Okay.
So,
and of course, if you're concerned, please do see the appropriate disclosures that are made, the appropriate places by the company.
It's a funny thing. Sometimes people think, "Oh boy, it's a disclosure."
Yeah.
Well, but I often say to people, "Hey, John, come here a second. 1 second." But I often say to people, "Do you want us to recommend companies we don't own? Is that the point?" So, John, do you mind being on? Okay, so John is a broker with Sprott in California.
Come out the shadow.
So, is he okay?
Still a bit back. It'll be okay.
Well, turn around, do something. Look, there's light.
Yeah, here.
So, John is a broker, a new broker, with Sprott in Carlsbad, California.
Yeah.
Tell us, why do you think people who are interested in this space, why should they go to a specialized broker? And here's another one, Peter Schiff. You can both answer the question. John Barker, Sprott. So both of you can answer this. Someone interested in resources, someone interested in emerging markets, foreign markets, why should they use a broker who specializes in this rather than just go to IB where they can get the commission for $4?
Time and emotions would be two big ones. They have the time to really dedicate themselves to the geology, to the management, to the project, to the assets, to understanding all the reasons to own gold, and then the emotion. Are you going to sell on the way up? Are you going to buy on the way down? I have trouble doing it myself, but we have sounding board to sort of bounce you off.
Yeah, it's probably for the same reason you don't try to find the cheapest doctor. Adrian's not going to work. You're not going to get all this experience for $4. Believe me. He did a lot of work that you don't have to do. He learned the hard way how to buy stocks, how not to buy stocks, and so hire a professional. It doesn't really cost you that much in the scheme of things. You're talking about a lot of money, right? And so you don't want to get cheap when it comes to putting together the portfolio and lose sight of the fact that it's the returns that matter, not whether you paid a little bit more for the expert to help you avoid the minefields. There's probably a lot more minefields than gold mines, in these stocks, right? So.
Well, and the other thing, of course, a lot of these discount brokers, you can't buy foreign stocks on the foreign domestic market.
Unless
in many cases.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to go through the pink sheets. You're going to get, and so you think you're paying $4, but you paid a market maker $1,000, and you didn't even realize it because you overpaid for the stock.
Convenience.
So you got to, and I've even found too that there's a lot of stocks too that even if you got a full service broker, they can't even recommend them because they're not blue sky.
Yeah.
So if you hire somebody who's managing your money, they can buy you a lot of stocks that your broker can't even tell you about because he would violate the blue sky laws.
And those might be stocks that he owns in his own personal portfolio too, by the way, of course, right?
Well, but they should be. I mean, I think you want someone who's eating their own cooking, as they say. So Peter's firm, Europe Pacific, specializes in global markets. They also have a group of mutual funds, one of which I'm privileged to be the sub-advisor of a gold fund. And then Sprott, of course, as everyone knows, specializes in the resource market.
See, we could have found a cheaper sub-advisor than Adrian, but we paid up for the best.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, well, thank you, guys.
In fact, I could have done it myself. I could have managed it myself, but he knows a lot more about it than I did, so I decided it was worth paying.
A good decision.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, let's move on, see if we can find someone else we like.
You're doing it.
Look for it on the internet and Twitter and stuff like that. This will go onto the cloud and then CEO.ca, and I'll tweet out the links. I'll tweet it at you guys. And my name's Peter Bell for your information too. Just
I can remember your first name anyway.
Right? Thank you, sir. Cheers, Joe.
Okay.
Are you going to the speaker lunch?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm leaving later today. My flight's.
I'll see you up at the luncheon.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
And
the conference room floor. This is the fun excitement of the conference room floor. Yep, no John Mark, but Raf's here.
No John Mark.
Raf's the man too.
Well, we'll have to make do with Rafi.
How you doing?
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Now, this is another prospect generator. There's a theme here. Do you notice?
I do.
But this is another one of my favorite prospect generators. John Mark Stoudy, who's not here, but he's the CEO, very, very disciplined, which is what you really want in a junior company that doesn't have a lot of revenue coming in. You want a really disciplined management that takes care of the balance sheet, which John Mark does. You're going to talk in a minute, don't worry. And this is also another one where I won't embarrass him by asking about the share price, but again, the price on Friday was 26 cents, which is just a ridiculous price for Riverside.
Yeah, I remember seeing it at 18. I remember seeing 18 at some of the really
that was
bad
at the
times.
dip in December
Crazy.
16
That
or
was a
something.
crazy price.
And the key to Riverside, when you're looking at the stock price, they've got cash, so they don't need to raise money. So you don't have to be afraid there's going to be another financing that'll push the stock down.
I talked with Raph a little bit earlier about this chart here too, and there's so much good stuff just in this chart from the presentation deck too.
We want to highlight here the 10-year graph and really just how we're able to form strategic alliances through the bear market times. So that's what we want to show here and display on this, and with majors like Antofagasta and Centerra Gold and such. So it's important to see that during tough times we're able to generate deals and partnerships and such. Yeah, we're cashed out $4 million in the bank, and tight share structure, only $44 million outstanding. So, and it's quite a bargain right now.
And I saw this picture too. This was something totally new. Pinoles, and we're talking about encountering some high grade in there, largely for the first time, as I understand it.
Okay, high grade intercept from a program that we had in 2014 with another partner, Morro Bay out of Calgary. We now hold this project 100%, and we've got a couple of proposed drill programs here underway, and looking for a joint venture on this as well. Yeah, so good opportunity here at Pinoles.
I think this is a good example of one of the things that is sometimes causes a misunderstanding with a prospect generator. They had a partner, a junior partner. The property was returned. We won't get into why, but just because a property comes back to the company doesn't mean it's a bad project. You've had someone else spending the money, doing exploration, doing drilling, and now all of that data comes back to Riverside. So they have 100% of a project, but they also have all of the data that's been generated.
And they have John Mark to interpret it too. So that's exciting.
Well, Cole's notes, $5 million work done on this project, over 11,000 meters of drilling done, and unfortunately, the end of the bear market time, they ran out of capital and couldn't complete the contractual agreement, so came back to us.
And you'll be looking for another part.
Absolutely, for sure.
Not as close as it looks. It's on a wide view. Sorry to stick it in here.
Yeah. So this is one of our highlighted properties right now. Absolutely. So that and our new acquisition, Cecilia, too, in northern Sonora. Yeah.
Cecilia.
Yeah. Good old Cecilia.
And you guys are doing all kinds of stuff. I don't know.
We just put an IPO through with Silver Viper Minerals about a month ago. They're drilling on our Clemente project right now as we speak. They started that program last week, so we're excited to see that's a 2,000 meter program.
That IPO is really interesting. That's the first time that's happened with one of your projects successfully.
No, I believe they put through 7 or 8 IPOs throughout our existence. Yeah. So they've done quite a few of those, and we've been speaking about Silver Viper Minerals with their IPO. We spoke about it at the SPRA conference in July, and it's come to fruition now. So it's exciting to see, and we've actually got the press release down here at our booth as well, just to show shareholders and investors and such.
October 2nd.
Yeah, we put that through the Mines and Money in Toronto.
So this is another prospect generator, cashed up, lots of projects, joint ventures, good pipeline, lots of activity, and very, very disciplined management. So I wish John Mark was here as well, but hey.
We'll come back and
he had to run to his room and check out.
Hey, you snooze, you lose.
But that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Thanks,
so,
Rob.
yeah, and another stock selling at a great price.
Yeah. Shall we? One more pass through one of the last aisles here.
I don't have anyone else that I like.
Well, tag along anyways.
I'm talking about all the good ones.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
No, I'm joking. There's a lot of companies here. There's companies in different areas. This is
there's water
technology.
tech stuff going here. It's
Atlantic Gold didn't show up.
No, they did. They were here. They've gone. They are busy. They got operations to tend to.
Well, they just put a mine. They just had commercial production at their new mine. Nova Scotia, right?
Some of the friends from CEO.ca were there. There was a guy who was visiting his family.
Oh, yeah?
And he was texting me, and he was like, I think I should get in touch with Sean Thompson from the company. I gave him his phone number, and lo and behold, the next day was the opening. So he found himself on the bus.
Well, we do own some of this, and we are buying it now.
Yep, good.
The price $1.50, 51, whatever.
Yep.
It's a producing mine. Now, it's a small mine to
Yep.
begin with, 280,000 ounces, I think, something like that, 280,000 ounces. Small mine in Nova Scotia, good jurisdiction.
Yep.
And a nice, clean deposit.
Yep.
There's no great difficulties with this deposit. But the key to Atlantic, I think, is they have a string of these of these deposits that potentially, they'll be larger, smaller, but they can develop and mine them all with the one facility.
Well, and it's almost nice to have a small one initially if there's another one down the line you can get to. So.
How are you?
We are being filmed.
Cosmo, would you like to say hello?
Would you like to say hello?
That's a really small camera you have there.
Yeah.
I bet you've heard that before.
No, believe it or not, it's the first time I've had it out really on the conference floor.
Oh, really?
Everything else so far this week, I've erred on the side of discretion, not sticking a camera in people's faces.
Yeah.
But it's the last day, so.
So, Michael, what do you think? Michael's an experienced. Well, he's a geologist, but he's also he was a broker with Sprott, and now he's running a company. So we've got lots of experience here. What's your take on the junior market at the moment?
Well, I mean, like conferences, if this is any kind of indicator, it's a contrarian one. So it's not wildly attended, which is probably a good sign if you're on the buy side. I certainly think opportunities like the companies that I brought here are undervalued for different reasons and represent a lot of potential upside. So I think it's a part of the market that hasn't seen a lot of capital. Certainly you're looking at valuations of other stocks that are a lot higher, and these ones just haven't seen any kind of liquidity or funds go their way for quite some time. I mean,
What do you think will change that?
I really think that there's one of two ideas. It's either going to be a discovery market or a gold market. And since there's very few discovery holes being drilled, Orin notwithstanding, which has got a very aggressive exploration portfolio, it's going to have to be the gold price. And in the context of what the Fed does next, I mean, it's interesting to note that all the major Feds are appointing more dovish heads, and it's going to go back to some kind of a race to the bottom.
Hard to believe.
But meanwhile, the American myth right now is that for some reason they're going to be kind of hawkish. But I don't see how that's possible, and I just don't think it's going to happen. Not the way that people think it might.
5 years where we've been expecting that hawkish reversal, isn't it, I think?
Sure, and but even so, 25 basis point raise here or there is sort of like,
Not much.
it's a couple of sprinkles of water in the 5-gallon can. Kind
Well,
of.
but then you say that, but the others will say, we need liquidity, so lower rates. And it's this, there's a perspective, there's something subtle about what you just said.
Well, the other thing that's interesting to know, everybody looks at nominal rates, and if you look at nominal rates, they've been extremely cautious. As you say, 25 basis points here, 25 basis points there. I mean, just very, very cautious, looking anything to be an excuse to postpone another rate hike. Brexit was a thing. Hurricane, no, you can't raise rates in a hurricane. Christmas, can't raise rates at Christmas, and so on. Always looking for an excuse not to raise rates. But what's really key is real rates, right? Nominal rates, less the rate of inflation. The nominal rates haven't moved up at all in the last 7 years. Nominal rates are lower today than they were when they started this easing.
Absolutely, and I think you make a great point in the context of these hurricanes, natural disasters, Puerto Rico, Houston, all the way through it, fires in Napa, you name it, has given political coverage to be much more easing in some shape or form. So not just interest rates, interest rates notwithstanding, but other forms of liquidity going into the system. And so I think there's political coverage there as well.
Absolutely. But they're cautious, and you look at the Fed's plan to shrink its balance sheet, the so-called quantitative tightening. Well, they were 900 billion balance sheet at the beginning of 2008. It went as high as just over 4.5 trillion. Their plan is to reduce it to 3.5 trillion by 2021. So we'll still be 4 times higher than we were before they started, and that's their plan. And they probably won't execute the plan. So George Selgin, the professor of economics, where is he? Atlanta, Emory University, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry. but George Selgin calls it Operation Snail.
Right.
Stall now, an inch along later.
Oh no.
For sure. So, I mean, and I also think there's a physical component. Talking about the gold market now, that's there. It's subtle. It gets hit and touched every now and again in the gold space. But I think that's ultimately something that's going to stay. That has some level of appeal. I mean, in a world where Bitcoin is 6,000, it's really not that ludicrous to think that gold could be 2.
Because it's a real asset, you mean? Because it's something
and
real.
it's a real asset.
Yeah.
It's a store of value and a real asset that has a lot of issues or positive attributes that just the cryptos can't.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, back to where we started.
Okay.
Hey, good seeing you.
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to say hello.
Thank you.
Oh, this is good, just bumping into people.
That's what I'm saying.
There's so
Guess
many...
how long we've been recording?
I don't know. How
40
long?
minutes.
And there's so many... Hi.
Hey, Steve.
Sorry, we're
Say hi.
recording. There's so many good... Hey, Steve.
Steve's great.
Here's another
Do you know
one.
Steve?
Yeah. Tell us about GoGo.
Well, GoGold.
We did, well, sorry, but
GoGold,
we
sorry.
did an audio interview yesterday. It's
Oh,
up
you
on
did?
the CEO.ca
Oh,
channel.
we'll make it very quick then.
Yeah, so
GoGold, it's in the name.
yeah, GoGold is production has been steadily growing. Our new changes we finally see in the daily results that we have consistent growth. And I think the biggest thing for us that gives us a lot of confidence that the changes are really going to take a hold and we can actually get to the numbers that we've always predicted we would get to is the fact that the variability and the volatility in the daily production numbers has dropped significantly. Like it's just steadily climbing. We're now consistently producing over 5,000 ounces a day, and that's at a 5,000 ton a day stacking rate.
And that's in Mexico.
And that's in Mexico. So we're going to continue to push the tons now. We have a stacker coming on next week, and so we expect, we'll be in the 500,000 ounces for Q1 and steadily increasing over the year. We'll do 2 million ounces next year, and in 2019, 3 million ounces, all in sustaining costs at $10.
$10, all in sustaining costs at $10. Just in case it wasn't. So what's the cash balance?
So we have a deal that we announced with Agnico. We sold them a mine, and so that deal is going to close. We announced in our press release in February. I'm pretty certain that's going to be a lot sooner than that. And so once that comes in, the 80 million will come in. We'll pay off our debt that we have with the Bank of Montreal. We have a revolver with them, so our debt balance will go to zero, and we'll have a cash balance of 20 million.
Great.
I wonder,
I'll just say that we have a US 60 million market cap. We have plant and equipment of 45 million. We'll have cash of 20 million. We'll have a royalty worth 10 million. And our on-process tailings, whatever you want to put a value on that, 10-year mine life at 3 million ounces a year.
And yet, like a lot of stocks, the stock price is way down. What are you now, 44 cents?
44 cents Canadian.
It's another screaming buy.
Yahoo!
Another screaming buy. There's a lot of screaming going on.
Well, and I like to tell people that we have everything fixed. The fundamental problems are changed, and I think that the market just needs to see that, and will see that in the very near term. And so you can invest in a company that is extremely undervalued, but you don't need a drill hole to strike, or you don't need a commodity price lift to be able to have a company that trades from a 0.3 NAV to a 0.7, 0.8 NAV in a very short period of time.
0.3 NAV. Oh my God. I love it.
Thank you very much. Take care.
So, this is the great thing about this show. There's so many people here, and we're just walking the floor.
This is what we do all day.
People don't even know that we're doing this, and you just bump into these bright people, these intelligent people. So, I think we're
right back to where we started.
We're right back, and I have an appointment.
Well, thank you very much,
So
Mr.
this is
Day.
great. Well, no, thank you, Peter. I hope it was some value, some use. But my key takeaway is that everybody knows these stocks. This sector is extremely volatile. We all know that, but it's inherently volatile. Shouldn't look at the volatility as something bad. You should look at the volatility as something to take advantage of. When you see stocks that are so depressed as they are right now, good quality
Yes,
companies
the ones,
that are so depressed, clearly this is the time to be buying.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.